Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Great Voyage. I, the strongest fighter on the Rocks ship. Chapter 1. Grand Line, New World. On the endless sea, several black spots are moving slowly. This is a group of small caravans traveling between New World and Paradise. The crew members on the ship changed almost every trip. They either lost their lives or made money and left. Of course, those who made money were in the minority, and most of them died at the hands of pirates. In a room on a merchant ship, Yulo, who was lying in bed, had just woken up. One day ago, Yulo traveled to the pirate world. Also traveling through time is Cheat, a super check-in system that is a must-have for time travelers, but it has not been successfully bound until now. Yulo learned about the system functions, namely daily check-in and task check-in. Daily check-ins require Yulo to take the initiative, while task check-ins are passive and random triggers. Open black lens bracket super punch and system close black lens bracket. The only one bound, Yulo. Daily punch in, 1. Task check in, none. Item, none. The system interface makes Yulo a little bit unbearable to look at. He is a complete novice, not even a novice. He is well aware of the dangers of the pirate world, especially for a person without strength. What's more, this is the New World, the most difficult and dangerous area on the ocean. The pirates here are vicious and cruel, and all of them are extremely powerful. Fortunately, one daily check-in gave Yulo his only hope, and he couldn't wait to check in. Ding, I successfully checked in today. Host completes the first day check-in in Pirate World and will be rewarded with a gift package for newbies. Yulo couldn't help but rolled his eyes. He should be considered a novice now, and the system recognized it. Use the newbie gift package. Ding. Host uses the newbie gift package and gets 3 physical strengthening pills and 1 devil fruit. The rewards are stored in the inventory, and the host can check them for details. Yulo became excited instantly. These are the items he needs now to improve his strength as soon as possible. See specific instructions. Yulo opened the system panel, entered the inventory, and looked at the descriptions of the 2 rewards. Physique strengthening pills. Ease tendons and cleanse marrow, increase muscles and build bones, enhance physical strength, and comprehensively improve physical fitness. Logia Mara Mara Fruit Green Lotus Earth Core Fire Form. Mara Mara fruit has been systematically strengthened and incorporated with array of alien fire origin, transforming into Green Lotus Earth Core Fire form. Yulo sat up immediately after seeing the specific instructions. It turns out to be Logia Devil Fruit, which has been system strengthened and integrated with the strange fire of a certain world. This kind of flame is generated in the sky and the earth, and the temperature is much higher than that of natural flame. Even if it is just a trace, the power will be greatly increased. There are also physical strengthening pills to improve your physical fitness in all aspects, which is also the first step to becoming stronger. In the world of pirates, whether it is Devil Fruit's ability or Conqueror's Haki, all abilities are activated by one's own physical strength. It can be said that physical strength is the source of all power. With his thoughts at this point, Yulo had a thought and a pill appeared in his hand. It was round and white. Tisk tisk tisk, it's produced by the system, and it looks great. Yulo swallowed the pill and felt a warm current spread out from his belly and slowly flowed to all parts of his body. Along with the numbness, his body also changed. His originally ordinary figure now has streamlined muscles, and his height is half a head taller than before. While Yulo was amazed in his heart, he took the remaining 2 physical strengthening pills. After the effect of the medicine wore off, he clenched his hands into fists. As his muscles contracted, he could clearly feel that his strength had increased by more than 10 times. Yulo didn't stop. A green lotus-shaped fruit appeared, and he took another bite. This devil fruit is not as unpalatable as expected, but is extremely sweet and moist. Yulo's eyes were bright. He ate it all in one breath, and licked his lips, still feeling a little unfinished. If anyone who has eaten devil fruit sees it, they will definitely be stunned. They have never seen anyone with such a strong taste. Qinglian Earth Heart Fire. After Yulo ate the fruit, a piece of information appeared in his memory. With a thought, his right hand was wrapped in a ball of blue flames. The temperature of the room rose sharply, and all the wood products began to emit light smoke. Feeling the effect of physical strengthening and fruit ability, Yulo couldn't help but smile happily. This temperature is no less than that of volcanic lava, and it will become stronger and stronger with development. Now, he has the ability to protect himself on the sea, and with the help of the system, it is only a matter of time before he reaches the pinnacle of the pirate world. Thinking of the top warriors on the sea in the original book, Yulo's heart boiled with fighting spirit, and he couldn't help but look forward to the collision with them. Boom, boom. It was the roaring explosion of artillery shells that exploded in Yulo's ears. Immediately afterwards, the entire hull shook violently. The pirates are coming. It turned out to be Rock's pirate. He's dead this time. Run, run, I don't want to die. At this moment, the people on the ship quickly became a mess, and various voices came and went. The shouts of the leader of the caravan had no effect at all. Seeing the huge pirate ship that was already close at hand, he couldn't help but tremble and felt despair in his heart. A large ship with the logo of Rock's pirate stood in front of the caravan. The pirates on board raised their weapons and bared their teeth and claws, with ferocious faces, not hiding the greed and ferocity in their eyes. Ahaha, it looks like there will be another bumper harvest this time. It's so satisfying to look at those little ladies' scared eyes. Gas, sooner or later you will die on a woman's belly. I prefer White Bailey to women. The fat pirate named Gas seemed to be the leader of the crew. He stared at some of the women in the caravan with lewd eyes, his eyes glowing red. Let me come to Gas to receive you. After pulling out the big knife inserted on the deck, the Gas bounced down, using the inertia to slash from top to bottom. The entire crew of the merchant ship closed their eyes in fear. Boom, Zila, Zila, there is heat in the air. In a heat wave, the blade of the Gas dissolved, and the molten iron dripped to the ground, scorching the deck. He is angry. It's Yulo, he's so awesome. It's so hot, what's going on? People on board were sweating in the heat. Blue flame. Yulo appeared at some unknown time, and he started to fight with fire. Your strength isn't that great either. Yulo looked at the Gas in front of him. The Qinglian earth core fire beating on his right hand had not dissipated yet. He raised his eyebrows slightly and said in surprise, I really don't know how high the sky is. Damn boy, you disturbed my good mood. Can you evaluate Laozi's strength? Even if Laozi is just a trainee crew member of Rock's pirate, it's not this young boy's turn to dictate. He looked at Yulo, who jumped out of nowhere and was furious. He laughed ferociously and said, You guys, let me kill you. Ah, ha 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 ha. The remaining pirates were so excited after hearing this that they jumped off the deck of the pirate ship one after another, preparing to cut into pieces the ship full of living people to vent their frustration. In the New World, Rock's pirate symbolizes the strongest, richest pirate group that countless pirates dream of joining. As a trainee crew member of Rock's pirate, Gas still has some ability, but is overconfident. Yulo wanted to scare them and make them retreat. Snort. Then don't blame me for being rude. Yulo's eyes turned cold, and murderous intent emerged. Ding. Trigger mission check-in. The road to the top of the world is inseparable from collisions with strong people. To facilitate host communication with strong people, please join Naval Headquarters or Rock's Pirate. After officially joining one of them, you will successfully check in and receive rewards. Yulo was startled by the sudden beep. This mission was triggered at the right time. Join Naval Headquarters or Rock's Pirate. Naval Headquarters. Yulo couldn't even think about it. He was busy with official duties, restricted freedom, and had a bunch of trash celestial dragons stepping on his head. Now that you are on this ocean, you have to do whatever you want. Rock's Pirate, don't let me down. The murderous intention in Yulo's heart gradually subsided, but his eyes were still cold. Aren't these pirates the Rock's pirates? They just happened to take us to Rock's base camp. In the flash of lightning, Yulo's mind was spinning rapidly. He jumped into the air, flicked his right hand, and the green fire turned into a flame whip and struck hard on the dozen pirates who jumped to the deck. More than a dozen people were severely injured in an instant, with deep visible bone burn marks on their bodies. Flop, flop, they all fell into the sea, splashing with water, not knowing whether they were alive or dead. Yulo landed directly on the pirate ship and pulled Gas over with a whip. It hurts. Impossible, how can a young boy like you be so strong? At this time, Gas was full of disbelief and yelled randomly. The Yulo in front of me looks only 17 or 18 years old, but his strength is not weaker than the official crew members in Rock's pirate. Yulo's eyes flashed coldly, and he retracted his green fire whip. No, don't kill me. I can give you all my treasures. The hotter flames burned the gash skin to pieces, the whole body was covered in smoke, and there was a faint smell of paste. Want to live? Take me to Rock's pirates' base camp. Yulo dismissed the flame whip in his hand and sat on the deck. What? Literally, set sail now to your base camp. Meeting Yulo's indifferent gaze, Gas trembled with fright, endured the pain and set sail. Feeling the gaze from behind, Gas didn't dare to play tricks and operated the rudder honestly. Early next morning, after sailing all night, we finally approached Beehive Island. Beehive Island is the gathering place for New World pirates and is known as the Pirates' Paradise. Rox chose this place as his base camp to recruit powerful pirates to join him. At this time, Yulo checked in daily. Ding, I successfully clocked in today. Host gets reward. Complete Encyclopedia of Fire Skills. Full skills have been automatically given to host. The next moment, the methods of using a large number of fire skills were integrated into the consciousness, and then continued to form muscle memory in the body, completely turning into Yulo's own thing, as if he had been honed through countless hardships, reaching the point of perfection. This really gave Yulo a surprise. He originally thought that skills would be developed slowly like in the original work, but he didn't expect that the system would directly skip this step. Of course, this is only the method of using the skill. What is needed to truly release the skill is the ability to control flames, and this requires continuous practice and accumulation. Even if he mastered the Encyclopedia of Fire Skills, some mid-level skills and high-level skills were still unable to be used by Yulo with his current physical strength and ability to control fire. But for now, joining Rock's pirate is more than enough. Yulo couldn't help but smile. Standing on the bow of the boat, he saw a black spot growing bigger and bigger in his sight. There was a Rock's pirate sign on the boat, so no one stopped us and we parked directly on the shore. This guy stole our prey and killed more than a dozen of our trainee crew members. We must not let him go. Gas seemed to see hope and jumped off the boat, screaming while running wildly. When the pirates on the nearby coast heard the sound and came, they were furious and had a strong tendency to take action. A bunch of rookies. Elementalization. Yulo was too lazy to fight with some trainee crew members, so he turned into a stream of cyan fire and flew towards the center of the Beehive Island. Just when they were about to approach the central area, a crescent-shaped golden slash suddenly shot out from the gate of the central castle. Before the person arrived, the sword energy had arrived, and the speed was so fast that he didn't feel the person drawing the sword at all. Observation hockey. Yulo's eyes flickered, and he directly dispersed and avoided with elements. Sure enough, when he first entered the island, he was noticed by the top management of Rock's pirate. It seems that there are at least Grandmaster 2-color hockey at the top, and even a few core cadres Grandmaster Conquerors hockey. The crescent-shaped slash passed through the clouds, and a big hole was opened by the sword energy. The huge movement attracted the surrounding pirates to converge towards the central area. Boy, you are not a member of our pirate group, are you? Along with the sound of footsteps, Rox walked out accompanied by several people. The height of an ordinary person, the afro like a hedgehog, and the seemingly ordinary confident temperament but still suppressed several people around him. Newgate, who is tall and strong, with a bare chest and a golden moon beard, Charlotte Linlin who keeps eating desserts, Shaki who is like a human-shaped lion, and his blonde hair, is holding the big sharp knife Sakura Jew and dead wood in his hand. It seems that the sword attack just now came from Golden Lion Shaki. Just because it's not happening now, doesn't mean it won't be happening in the future. Yulo did not directly state his purpose. Everyone in Rock's pirate is not a fool, so they naturally understood what Yulo meant. Ha 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 ha, you are young and Devil Fruit has good abilities, but this is not enough. Without strong strength, let alone joining us, it will be difficult to leave this island alive. Rox laughed. Everyone on the side looked at the excitement, as if they wanted to see through Yulo. This kind of thing is not uncommon in Rock's pirate. As the strongest pirate group that dominates the New World, there are countless pirates who want to join. When there was no recruitment expansion for a long time, some self-righteous pirates had no choice but to break into Hashinosu and seek to join. However, they were all arrogant people with little strength. Needless to say their fate. In Rock's perspective, the aura exuded by Yulo was stronger than the previous Kai Bao. This only made him slightly interested, but not enough to attract his attention. Yulo grinned, "This is easy to handle. Prescribe the right medicine. Simple and effective." "Gu la la la, interesting boy, you looked like you had elemental abilities when you evaded the slash just now. Are you the Logia demon fruit power?" Edward Newgate asked with a curious smile, his golden moon-shaped beard twitching. "Yes, Logia black small square Mara fruit black small square Qinglian earth core fire form." Yulo didn't have to hide it and answered openly. "We Rock's pirate don't even have Logia ability users. Gu la la la, I hope this kid is good at it, otherwise such a good devil fruit will be wasted." Shiki and Edward Newgate sang together. Everyone was slightly shocked when they heard this. After all, Logia's devil fruit is not only very rare, but also has the property of being immune to physical attacks. Only armament hockey can restrain it. No matter how good devil fruit is, his strength must be recognized by Rox before he can join the pirate group. Rox, who was standing at the front, listened quietly, with an inexplicable light shining in his eyes. Rox and other cadres stood still, and they didn't even bother to fight Yulo. The central area on Beehive Island is generally the activity area for cadres. Only captains and official crew members are allowed to set foot if called upon or by special events. A large number of pirates gathered here after receiving news from the outer trainee crew, and witnessed Yulo evading the Golden Lion's attack. It makes some ordinary sailors with average strength intimidated because they know that they would never be able to escape it. "Ha, what a bunch of trash. Let me see where you got the courage to break into Beehive Island." A captain-level pirate glared viciously at the cowering ordinary crew members behind him. "Are you going to fly up here to die?" Yulo looked at the thin pirate below. "You're not the only one who can fly. Remember, Lousy's name is Freeman, Zone, bird fruit, vulture form user." Freeman's body swelled, and a pair of dark brown wings on the shoulder blades of his back pierced his clothes and stretched out. The original appearance disappeared and turned into a 3-meter-tall vulture, speaking human words. As his two wings spread out, the ground beneath his feet cracked and he rushed towards Yulo in the air. The physical fitness and super recovery ability of the beast form have been greatly improved, which makes Freeman's heart swell, thinking that he can kill Yulo, and even if he fails, he can kill him. How much physical strength can a young boy have? What a big humanoid bird, Zone really has it all. There was a fighting spirit in Yulo's heart, but the vulture's appearance made him unable to complain. Finally, here comes one who looks decent. Yulo turned his hands, an endless green fire spurted out, surging. The surrounding temperature rose suddenly, and even the air became scorching. The two flames flowed rapidly around Yulo's body like a whirlwind. In a moment, the temperature was raised to a terrifying level, and the moisture in the air that was usually invisible to the naked eye was evaporated to a sizzling sound at this moment. As he approached Yulo in an instant, the water in his body evaporated rapidly, and even his feathers began to shrink and deform under the high temperature. Freeman's heart sank slightly. He really underestimated him. The temperature of this green fire was ridiculously high. The arrow had to be fired on the string, and the dark brown hook mouth was covered with military color and became dark and shiny. Snort. "Boy, watch me armament hockey break your elementalization. Fire ring fire pillar." Yulo looked at the approaching humanoid bird and took action decisively. He would not let armament hockey touch it. The flowing flames around Yulo quickly merged and expanded, and a wide blue pillar of fire shot out downwards. The flames continued to surge out, and the fire pillar was 10 meters wide, giving Freeman no chance to escape. That's right, Yulo plans to kill him instantly, which will better demonstrate his strength. Now my main ability is Qinglian Earth Core Fire. I am not Grandmaster in physical skills and hockey yet, so I will be a long-range mage for the time being. Freeman, be careful. Kadri Akoku, who was tall and muscular and wrapped in thick armor, couldn't help but shout. Freeman is the lowest among the captains under him, and he knows very well how strong he is. If this move hits Freeman, it will definitely be a fatal blow. It's too late, but it's too late. Freeman in the air has no focus, and his flying ability in vulture form is average. Boom. Long. As soon as he adjusted his angle, he was hit head-on by a pillar of fire that rushed straight down. He was hit hard, the ground exploded, and a deep pit suddenly appeared. Cracks continued to spread in all directions, making crackling sounds, and flames rolled out with the air waves, picking up gravel and sand. The pirates who were watching dispersed around to avoid being touched by the green fire. They witnessed with their own eyes the scene where Freeman was reduced to ashes in an instant. That was just when he came into contact with the flames, and he didn't even last for a second. Even as everyone fled, they were burned by the heat wave that hit them as if they were on fire. As expected of Logia's ability, this kind of temperature is not something ordinary flames can reach. Edward Newgate was amazed. Several cadres nodded. But this Freeman is too good, isn't he? He was instantly killed in one move. Golden Lion Shiki suddenly made a sound, which pot would not be opened. Akoku's expression on the side was a little ugly. Who didn't know that Freeman was the captain of his team? But then he thought that if Yulo was recognized, he could be allowed to join his staff, which would just fill the vacancy of Freeman. Snort. I hope this kid won't be ungrateful by then. Phew, I accidentally used too much force and didn't even leave a body behind. Don't worry, it won't happen next time. Yulo came to the ground, looked at the deep pit in front of him, smiled and waved his hand, but secretly said in his heart, damn, he is so strong. It's different when it incorporates the origin of alien fire. The temperature and power are comparable to Akainu's lava fruit. It won't take long for the so-called magma to restrain flames to be the other way around. The system is awesome. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sudden sound of breaking wind interrupted Yulo's thoughts. It turned out that 3 captain-level pirates launched the raid. Captain-level pirates themselves are not weak, and here are 3 of them. The 3 of them cooperated very well. When they made the decision, they just made eye contact and decided to take action at the same time. 3 people from 3 directions quickly blocked Yulo's retreat. The person behind him was a gunman. He raised his gun and kept shooting. The strength of the 3 of them is not comparable to that of Freeman. Each of them can defeat Freeman. The 3 of them joining forces cannot be dealt with simply by their explosive power. They also require knowledge, perception, and rich combat experience. Gia ha 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 ha, this is a bit interesting. If he doesn't know how to see and hear, what will happen to him? Ha ha, I've never seen a miner do hockey. Ha ha, that's right, that's incredible. Golden Lion Shiki was communicating with several cadres, and no one thought that a teenager would use observation hockey. In fact, this is indeed the case. There is no way to kill 3 people with one move when they are separated. When one person is eliminated, the attack of the other 2 must also be able to resist. At this time, observation hockey's auxiliary role in the battle is needed. Yulo has not yet obtained observation hockey, but he has another skill that can replace it. Fire-burning pupils. The perception skills from the Encyclopedia of Fire Skills give up vision and rely on the thermal sensing system to observe the enemy 360 degrees, which can be called God's perspective. It's more than enough to deal with the situation at hand. Green fire poured into his eyes from the body, and the black pupils with white background disappeared, replaced by 2 blazing green flames. Wisps of fine fire drifted from the corners of his eyes, which was extremely mysterious, like the god of death walking out of the sea of fire. Everyone instantly felt like they were being seen through, and every move they made was expected by the other person. At this time, Yulo is from God's perspective, and he has a panoramic view of everything. Can't solve it with one move. Then 2 moves. Yulo moved, turned sideways, tilted his head, and with a few small movements, he dodged the bullets fired from behind. Then the elemental compressed flames spurted out to the rear, and in an instant they were in front of the man. Quick victory. Show no mercy. A fire fist was thrown out, and hot green fire spurted out. Damn it, are you aware of it? How is it possible at such a young age? The gunman's expression changed, and he cursed inwardly. At the same time, the jet of flames penetrated into the ground, continuously brewing terrifying killing moves. This is observation hockey. Among the cadres watching the battle, Golden Lion was stunned when he saw this scene. I just said that the other party didn't know observation hockey, but he was immediately slapped in the face. This kid has great talent. He can do observation hockey at a young age. Coupled with the terrifying Logia fire ability, there will be another big pirate on the sea in a few years. Whitebeard was laughing and giggling, keeping his eyes on Yulo, and seemed to recognize Yulo's talent and strength in his words. Everyone present looked at Yulo in shock. It doesn't matter if you are young and have strong abilities, even hockey can do it. I always feel like I don't live in the same world. The person who fired the gun didn't expect that Yulo could easily dodge the attack and launch an offensive against him with lightning speed. As soon as his weapon colors began to cover him, the sea of fire fist swallowed him up. The entire torso was burned to the ground, the limbs covered with armor fell off, the water in the blood was evaporated, and the body shriveled. The remaining two people were extremely horrified, and they had no time to get angry at the death of their partner. Because just when the two of them were chasing Yulo quickly, they were about to approach Yulo. Something unexpected happened. Iwayaki volcano. The feet suddenly became extremely hot, and a suffocating heat hit Tianlingai from bottom to top. Boom, boom, boom. The land suddenly burst open, and dozens of green fire pillars shot straight into the sky. The scene was horrifying. The entire surface of the earth was blown away, sand and rocks flew, and heat waves surged. The two reacted quite quickly, moving and dodging quickly. But in such a large-scale attack, the effect is minimal. If you can escape the first and second path, you may not be able to escape the third and fourth path. After a wave of attacks, lives were lost before any action was taken. How is it possible? How is this possible? The three captains were surrounded by the enemy and were defeated in seconds. I was just a little shocked when Freeman was killed, but now I'm completely stupid. His ability is so pervert, his flames are instantly destroyed when touched. Only a high-level armament hockey can resist it, right? I'm afraid only the cadres can defeat him. Many pirates were shocked, including the captain. They subconsciously took 2 steps back. No one dared to stand up. After all, no captain thinks he can compete with 3 opponents of the same level, let alone kill him instantly. Why should a good head be given away? It's totally looking for death. I have never heard of such a young and powerful person. Are all the young people outside now so scary? Rox, who was paying attention here, raised his lips slightly, not caring at all about the 4 pirate captains who were killed. In his eyes, they are just cannon fodder, and they can expand their recruitment at any time. There are countless pirates out there waiting to join Rock's pirate. Only pirates of Gongan's strength can help him realize his ambitions. Yulo possesses observation hockey at a young age and is very talented, and his fire ability is even more powerful. Once you join Rock's pirate, it won't take long for you to gain another boost in your plan to overthrow the world government. May I have your name? My name is Yulo. Yulo looked at Rox calmly and said his name with confidence. Okay, Yulo, ha ha ha, your strength is indeed good, I allow you to join Rock's pirate. Rox glanced at everyone present and saw that no one took action again, so he took the initiative to end it all. The pirates remained silent, indicating their attitude. Join Rock's pirate and the mission was successfully checked in. Get the reward. The Great Swordsman's Insights into the Way of Swordsmanship, the Complete Encyclopedia of Swordsmanship, and the Supreme Sword, 1001 Nights. The reward has been automatically assigned to the host and the weapon has been stored in the inventory. As soon as Rox finished speaking, Yulo couldn't help but smile, and the clear sound of the system sounded in his ears. The knowledge of swordsmanship and the complete explanation of sword moves are naturally integrated into the mind, and the body has been trained for thousands of times, forming a strong muscle memory. The rewards from this mission directly make up for a shortcoming in one aspect. After all, a truly strong person is beyond the reach of others in every aspect. Currently, he doesn't know anything about physical skills or conqueror's hockey, but Qinglian's earth-centered fire ability and the great swordsman's swordsmanship are also the top powers in the sea. Even against the cadres, he is not weak. At this moment, Yulo merged with the great swordsman's sense of swordsmanship. The whole person's temperament has changed subtly, giving people a completely different feeling from before. The faint wisps of sword intent are sharp, like an unsheathed sword. What about becoming a cadre? Yulo came back from his thoughts, stared at Rox and asked calmly. It is best to become a cadre at once, as it will save you a lot of trouble in the future. Ha 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 ha, your current strength is close to that of a cadre. With your talent, you may be able to reach it in a short time. But to become a cadre, one must not only meet the standard of strength, but also make a sufficient contribution to the pirate group. As long as your strength is recognized by the cadres and your contribution is sufficient, you can become a cadre. Quote. Rox laughed and explained patiently. Yulo is not only young, talented and strong, but most importantly, ambitious. I believe it won't take a few years for Rox Pirate to have another great pirate leader. You can be the captain for now. You can go to the outside and pick your players. Quote. Finally, Rox thought for a while and assigned Yulo the position of captain. Boy, come to my ship. The captain's crew and treasure you killed are all yours. Akoku has already started to have Yulo's idea. 2 captains died, Freeman and the Musketeer, and they were in urgent need of supplementing their captain-level combat power. If Yulo is recruited by others, the strength of his own fleet will be even worse. He was the first to speak and struck first, and there were crew members and treasures left by the 2 captains. Yulo would not refuse. No need, I have no idea of joining any fleet at the moment. Yulo glanced at Akoku, his face calm. To be honest, there is no need at all. Maybe if you get excited tomorrow, kill a few enemies, grab some treasures, and you'll be promoted to cadre right away. Boy, are you rejecting me? Think about it carefully, you killed 2 of my captains. Quote. Akoku didn't expect that Yulo would refuse decisively. He narrowed his eyes and said in a bad tone. Can't you understand people? My subordinates are so useless, but they still have the nerve to let me join. Killing the captain will make you the captain. Then if I kill you, can you become a cadre? Quote. Yulo frowned slightly. Akoku's words made him very unhappy. It's my freedom whether to join or not, and I even threatened lousy. I don't deserve you. I'll kill you. Ah, arrogance. If you have some strength, you won't know the heights of the world. I will let you know that you are nothing in front of me. Quote. Akoku was furious when he heard this, his eyes filled with murderous intent. A heavy momentum was like a mountain, crushing towards Yulo. This Yulo is really arrogant. He doesn't give himself any face in front of everyone. Yulo felt the cold murderous intent, his face remained calm and composed. With the added strength of the great swordsman, if he really used his hands, he would at least be able to gain the upper hand. Boom! Akoku threw the giant sword in his hand violently, and followed closely behind with an ejection himself. Rox didn't stop him. He also wanted to see how far Yulo's strength could go. The giant sword thrown by Akoku was fierce and powerful, like a wild beast killing Yulo. The sword energy condenses on the sword body, enough to tear through the obstruction of the air flow. But this did not cause any fluctuation in Yulo's heart. Facing the menacing giant sword Akoku, Yulo remained calm. As Qinglian's earth core fire circulates, it spreads outward along her right hand. If you look closely, you will find that the shape of the flame at this time is a long sword. Yulo's main concern is to be able to hide his weapons from others' eyes when he takes them out of his inventory. Qinglian's inner fire dissipated, revealing a black, slender and sharp blade. It is one of the 12 skills of the Supreme Sharp Sword. 1001 Nights. The ancestor of the Black Sword. Hey, be a good boy. This sharpness is stronger than my Sakura 10 and Deadwood. Isn't it the ultimate sharp sword? Is this kid still a swordsman? Gu la 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 la, this guy's knife is no worse than my Kong Yunchi. Among the cadres are Golden Lion and Whitebeard. The other cadres, including Rox, just watched quietly. Whoosh. Yulo's movements were neat and concise, he just raised the knife and stabbed straight out. Steadily, the giant sword collided with the tip and stopped, causing sparks to rub against each other. Yulo held the knife and shook, and a sharp sword energy gathered along the blade at the tip. Click. The sword energy that Akoku condensed on the giant sword was torn apart and shattered. The collision of the 2 sword energies set off an invisible wave, which directly affected the surrounding sea from the center of the island. The ejected Akoku grabbed the giant sword, and with the help of the air flow in the air, his body rotated sideways, and the giant sword took advantage of the momentum and struck down again. Before it hit Yulo, he already felt the overwhelming feeling of a mountain. Yulo's sharp sword intent burst out, easily cutting through the pressure, and then directly transformed into elements and came to the sky. 36 troubled winds. Yulo was condescending and slashed out 36 paths sword energy with one strike. The dense slashes were like a storm, sweeping towards Akoku below. This is the great swordsman's slash. There was a look of shock in Akoku's eyes. He thought that the black sword was just a medium for Yulo's fire attack, but he didn't expect that he was actually a great swordsman. Not a swordsman, but a great swordsman. The storm of sword energy that came in an instant gave Akoku no time to think. He instinctively unfolded armament haki, and the hardened giant sword became harder and sharper than before. He removed the borrowed strength, and while his body fell rapidly, he swung his giant sword fiercely, slashing out a stream of white and black sword energy. Although Akoku is not a pure great swordsman, but with the blessing of the weapon color, he can slash at the level of a great swordsman. The sword energy slash collided with the sword energy storm, resulting in a huge explosion, and the entire cloud layer was lifted away. The aftermath of the stars scattered to the ground, which were wisps of sword energy and made countless small sword marks. Be a good boy. This guy is a great swordsman. How did he practice? Was he in his mother's womb? Needless to say, it goes without saying that it's Whitebeard and Golden Lion again. Rox looked at Yulo appreciatively with a faint smile. Only now has Rox truly recognized Yulo. Damn it, damn it. Akoku became a little angry, and he was at a disadvantage in front of everyone. How could there be such a young great swordsman? It seems that I have to show my true strength. Otherwise, what dignity would I have in Rox Pirate? Thinking of this, observation haki is fully activated. At the same time, Yulo is possessed by fiery eyes. Green fire filled his eyes, and traces of flames floated in the corners of his eyes. Both parties disappeared from the sight of the pirates together. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of gold and iron clashing could be heard endlessly, and the area where the clouds collapsed continued to expand. From time to time, a slash hit the ground randomly, and green sparks floated in the air. At this moment, only the pirates who have passed the observation haki level can barely see the trajectory of the battle between the two, and the observation haki grandmaster can be regarded as a true spectator. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged hundreds of moves, and countless sword energy and slashes whizzed past. The pirates who had seen and heard the color were able to avoid it in time, but some ordinary pirates were unfortunately hit by the sudden sword energy. The two kept making moves, and gaps appeared. It's now. Da Chensha. Yulo holds 1001 Nights tightly in his hands, and his mind is clear at this moment. A slash of sword energy across the sky, carrying a terrifying Kamui pressure, a spiritual suppression similar to Conqueror's haki. This is, Conquerors, don't talk about martial ethics. Suddenly enlarge the move. Quote. Akoku's pupils shrank suddenly, and he was filled with surprise and uncertainty. But this was what he truly felt. In addition to the pure sword energy, there was also a kind of spiritual pressure that made his heart throb. In a hurry, armament haki was fully covered, and Akoku struck out with his own blow after fusing haki. The airflow in the air was compressed and rushed wildly. For a moment, the airflow rolled. Wherever it passed, the ground was crushed, and the cracks in the deep pits continued to expand. The two slashes collided, setting off strong air waves, and the sea around Honeycomb Island suddenly became rough. In an instant, Akoku's sword energy was completely wiped out. Dachin struck Akoku's thick armor, and the terrifying spirit Kamui suppressed it. With a clang, Akoku's body flew out, landed on the ground, and barely managed to stand still. The heavy armor on his body was covered with sword marks, especially a ravine-like sword mark on his chest that was quite conspicuous, and the whole person was in a miserable state. At this moment, Akoku was furious and felt very embarrassed. Before the fight, he vowed that Yulo was nothing in front of him. After the fight started, he was suppressed throughout the whole process, but now he was actually injured. In his opinion, this is a shame. Jia ha 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 ha, Yulo is indeed a monster, he actually injured Akoku. Only Golden Lion was laughing. Seeing fellow cadre Akoku making a fool of himself, other cadres also secretly laughed. The laughter Akoku heard was harsh, and his eyes burned with rage. Boy, don't be complacent, let me show you my true strength. Akoku threw the giant sword in his hand to the ground, bowed his legs slightly, and prepared to pounce on Yulo. At this moment, Rox raised his hand and pressed lightly on Akoku. A domineering and powerful pressure enveloped Akoku, like a mountain bearing down on him. Akoku, who was ready to go, suddenly knelt down on one knee, and the ground under his knees cracked. Conqueror's haki. You can also choose to place it. Yulo watched in amazement. Yulo is already a member of Rock's Pirate. There is no need to fight to the death. Enough is enough. Rox finally spoke, then took back Haki. Akoku snorted and stood up, looking at Yulo with murderous eyes but helpless. There is no way, even Whitebeard and Golden Lion have to give Rox this face. Now he has neither the courage nor the strength. This bastard. He looked at the cracks in the armor and felt quite distressed. This is the armor that he spent a lot of money to build, and this is the only set. After countless battles and only superficial marks, Yulo was the first to make a direct cut. Rox saw that Akoku had stopped with just one word, and an imperceptible smile appeared on his lips. No matter how dissatisfied you feel, you still have to give yourself face. There is no way, there is really no way, who made me so strong. Yulo, you are indeed very strong, but don't be complacent. I didn't even use my full strength. Akoku felt the gazes around him and explained with a gloomy expression. His embarrassing defeat was because he still retained his strength. Although he was shocked by Yulo's strength, he still believed that he could defeat Yulo with all his strength. Yulo looked at Akoku as if he were a fool. I really don't understand why Akoku is weak, but why is his brain so weak? You have a trump card, don't I? I am relaxed and you are embarrassed. Who is more powerful? Yulo didn't bother to pay attention to him, and then looked away. Akoku was so angry that he could hardly speak. Yulo dared to ignore him. This was the first time he felt so aggrieved, and he immediately felt impulsive and wanted to fight again. Suddenly, Rox glanced at him out of nowhere. Akoku's aura suddenly disappeared as if he was deflated. Forget it, let's give Rox some face. Gia ha 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 ha, you really deserve to be Captain Rox. Golden Lion Shiki is a pure idiot. All the officers and pirates just smiled and said nothing. He was the only one who could say it without thinking. Shiki, you spit on my face. Whitebeard Newgate wiped the saliva from his face and yelled. Rox looked at Yulo and said calmly, you do have the strength of a cadre. As long as you contribute enough to the pirate group, you can directly become a cadre. Now I allow you to recruit crew members in advance. Quote. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was shocked and extremely surprised. I thought Captain Rox was just talking casually, but unexpectedly he actually appointed Yulo as a cadre. In Rox Pirate, only Rox and officers can recruit crew members. To put it bluntly, it is the exclusive right of officers. Captain Rox, is it too early for him to recruit a crew now? John, who had been silent from beginning to end, spoke up, feeling a little shocked at Rox's decision. Akoku didn't dare to say anything now, but he, John, did. He has just joined us and has not made any contributions yet. Isn't it a bit sloppy? Even Silver Axe on the side also joined in the conversation. Except Edward Newgate and Golden Lion Shiki looked indifferent. Some of the veteran crew members who were second only to the cadres also found it difficult to accept. None of them did not keep an eye on the position of cadres. I have to admit that Yulo is indeed very strong despite his young age. But since the establishment of Rox Pirate, no one has become a cadre right after joining. Even if it is not a formal cadre for the time being, it is just an unofficial quota, which is difficult for them to accept. What's more, all the cadres including Golden Lion Shiki, Whitebeard Edward Newgate, Silver Axe, and John all got to this position through countless battles. After Rox looked around at everyone, he said calmly, you have also seen Yulo's talent and strength. The contribution required to become a cadre is not worth mentioning to him. Yulo curled his lips, isn't it just some treasures or something? It's at your fingertips. And he won't join any fleet, so he will have to form his own fleet under me. If you are dissatisfied, you can come to me. If you don't dare, just go to Yulo. Rox suddenly paused and showed an intriguing smile. Yulo, who had been silent for a long time, twitched his lips. This Rox didn't forget to help him create a wave of hatred. Rox, you cunning thing, I really, thank you. But Yulo doesn't care about this. He is not afraid of anyone and has no plans to recruit crew members for the time being. I have just arrived in the world of pirates, so I'd better enjoy it first. It won't be too late in the future, not to mention that I am strong, so there is no need to worry about finding a crew member. Yulo looked expressionless and nodded. John, who originally wanted to continue talking, saw this situation and had no choice but to hold his words in his stomach. That's it for now, it's time for our banquet. Rox shouted loudly, and a monster-like crew member dropped from the sky, which put him in a good mood. Wow, there's a party. Drinking wine and eating meat. A group of pirates cheered and took action quickly. Yulo suddenly discovered that holding a banquet is really a magical thing in the pirate world. In just a few seconds, everyone had everything they needed ready. Yulo was brought into the Skull Castle under the envious eyes of a group of people. This is where officers and Rox gather during banquets. Hey, Yulo, sit next to me, let's have a good chat. Yulo found a seat and was about to sit down when he was suddenly pulled to his side by Golden Lion Shiki. After 3 rounds of drinking, Golden Lion Shiki couldn't help it anymore. He handed Yulo a glass of wine and asked, Yulo boy, when do you plan to form a fleet? Yulo took the wine and drank it down in one gulp, and replied truthfully, I have no plans for the time being. After all, there are many people and things to do. Let's enjoy it first. This is great. Golden Lion Shiki's eyes lit up and he invited directly, then you can come and live on my boat first. You and I are both great swordsmen, so we can communicate and learn swordsmanship. Now that Yulo is officially appointed as a cadre, he can't blatantly win over her, but it's always possible to make friends. After all, people like Yulo, even if they can't become his crew, can never become enemies, so they can only be friends. What's more, both of them are great swordsmen, and the exchange of swordsmanship can also improve their swordsmanship. Live on your boat. Yulo thought about it. Yes, you must know that I am the strongest and serious swordsman in the pirate group. The two of us will definitely make rapid progress through exchanges and exchanges. Golden Lion Shiki felt a little proud when he said this. But what he said is right. Among the entire Rox pirate, except for Rox who rarely takes any shots, Golden Lion Shiki is the strongest and purest in terms of swordsmanship. His lion fruit ability was also acquired after he became a swordsman, and he only used it as a means of attack, focusing on swordsmanship. In comparison, Whitebeard Edward Newgate is on the other hand. His main ability is shock fruit, and swordsmanship is just an accessory to him. The supremely sharp sword in his hand, Kong Yunchi, is more often used to activate shock fruit, medium of ability. Gu la 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 la, Shiki, who do you think is not serious? When Newgate heard this, he laughed as if he were no longer a swordsman. However, he did not refute Golden Lion Shiki's words. Although he was a swordsman, in terms of pure swordsmanship, he was not as good as Golden Lion Shiki. In terms of overall combat power, he is still slightly stronger than Golden Lion Shiki. Shiki's strength is far from enough. Newgate then said to Yulo. Newgate and Shiki fought countless times, with Newgate winning more and Shiki winning less. Whitebeard Newgate despises Golden Lion Shiki in his heart. He praises himself in front of newcomers. He is becoming more and more shameless as he lives. It seems that he must find an opportunity to teach him a lesson. Yulo smiled and said nothing. After all, he understood these things fairly well. Suddenly, I don't know why, Whitebeard Newgate and Golden Lion Shiki stopped arguing and quickly distanced themselves from Yulo, looking like they were drinking alone. What happened? Just now he looked so cool, but why did he suddenly become cold and aloof? Just when Yulo was confused, a beautiful voice came from behind. Yulo, you are so young, you haven't had a child yet, right? How about we give birth to some children in the future? Quote. At this time, Charlotte Linlin happened to come behind Yulo. Originally, she was planning to win over Yulo after the banquet, but now that she saw Golden Lion Shiki speaking, she could no longer hesitate. If Yulo were allowed to live on Golden Lion Shiki's ship, she would have very few chances to see Yulo. As a cadre, she could not forcefully break into Golden Lion Shiki's ship. Even if I can't win over Yulo, it would be nice to have some children, but I can't just sit back and watch Golden Lion Shiki take advantage of him alone. Yulo was startled, understood immediately, and glared at Shiki and Newgate fiercely. He now remembered that in the anime, the ant liked to have children very much, and she had dozens of children with dozens of men. And all the men who were with the ant, without exception, were dumped by the ant after they had children. Auntie's voice was indeed moving, but Yulo felt a chill in his heart knowing what she would look like in the future. Make some. Treat lousy as a stallion. I was careless. I was spotted by my aunt. The corner of Yulo's mouth twitched, a black line formed on his head, and 10,000 grass and mud horses galloped past in his heart. You should give up on this idea, it's impossible for us. Look at them, they are strong, and in their prime. This is your best choice. Yulo took a deep breath, stood up suddenly, came behind Shiki and Newgate with a whoosh, and said seriously to Charlotte Linlin. Yes, that's it. His experience tells him that at this time, only decisive refusal can break Charlotte Linlin's fantasy. At the same time, he legitimately diverted the trouble eastward and perfectly avoided this stallion crisis. Sure enough, when Charlotte Linlin heard this, she felt that it made sense. She immediately looked at Shiki and Newgate, her eyes even hotter than before. When Shiki and Newgate were about to argue with Yulo, they suddenly felt a penetrating gaze. Both of them were shocked, and their expressions changed drastically, as if they had encountered something terrible. The two of them stood up hurriedly and walked outside without looking back. Shiki, Newgate, don't leave. Don't you think what Yulo said makes sense? Your body is now in the golden stage of giving birth, it would be bad to miss this time. Quote. Charlotte Linlin chattered after them. Linlin, it's impossible, let's have a baby with Shiki. Linlin, it's impossible, look for Newgate to have a baby. Whitebeard Newgate and Golden Lion Shiki suddenly said in unison, imitating Yulo, and they both wanted to transfer the trouble to each other. You two don't have to be humble, just give birth to a few children with me. It was obvious that their ideas not only failed, but also caused a lot of commotion. Yulo clicked his tongue slightly when he heard the last voice. Auntie, what a wolfish statement. On the other side, John, Silver Axe, Akoku and others who were drinking together did not say anything, but looked sympathetically in their eyes. They have all been targeted by Charlotte Linlin and understand the mood of Shiki and Newgate at this time. Ah ha 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 ha, boy Yulo is interesting. Shiki and Newgate just got rid of Linlin some time ago, and they were targeted again today. Silver Axe laughed, with a hint of schadenfreude. Like Yulo, they all rejected Charlotte Linlin. Although Charlotte Linlin is very good, careerists like them also look down on her. Yulo raised his glass and saluted Silver Axe. Captain Silver Axe, I made you laugh. I didn't expect to be targeted by Charlotte Linlin when I first came here. You don't need to take it to heart. This is purely Linlin's personal hobby. Who among us has not been targeted by her? Silver Axe raised his glass and said that he had objected to Yulo's appointment as a cadre before, just for the sake of safety, and he still recognized Yulo's strength. Yulo drank a few glasses of wine and complimented everyone before leaving the castle and planning to find Golden Lion Shiki. He was still very interested in temporarily staying on Shiki's boat to compete and exchange swordsmanship, but he didn't have time to agree just now. I think Shiki and Newgate should get rid of Charlotte Linlin now. Yulo thought and walked towards Shiki's pirate ship. The banquet outside was much more lively than inside. Most of the pirates kept running around the table, chatting and getting drunk. Just after Yulo left, a pirate looked at his drunken unconscious companion, stood up with a flicker of his eyes, and walked away quietly. The man came to a remote coast, looked around and hid behind a boulder, carefully took out a phone bug and made a call. Marineford, Naval Headquarters, Admiral Office. At this time, Kong was discussing things with Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr. The Rocks pirates in New World have become more and more powerful recently, and the Marines stationed in New World are basically just decorations. Sengoku said tiredly, his eyes full of worry. That's true. The gap in high-end combat power is gradually widening. Kaido, a newcomer who just joined Rocks pirates some time ago, can withstand the attacks of 3 New World branch vice admirals by himself. Zephyr also looked serious and echoed from the side. Bulu Bulu. At this time, the phone bug on the table interrupted Kong's thoughts. He had absolute trust in Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr and answered the call immediately. This is Beehive Island. The voice came immediately. The 4 Kongs looked solemnly, because Beehive Island is the base camp of Rocks Pirate. Null, Song Admiral, there is a great new person in Rocks Pirate. Undercover Marine lowered his voice very low, but he could still hear the seriousness in his tone. A great newcomer. You mean Kaido, who can fight the 3 branch vice admirals alone? I already know this. Kong's tone was calm, and even Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr on the side breathed a sigh of relief. They thought it was some important information. No, it's not Kaido, it's a new guy who's even scarier. Kong's tone made the undercover a little excited, and his voice became louder. What? A newcomer scarier than Kaido? Please explain it to me carefully. When Kong heard this, he couldn't help but feel nervous. An undercover agent wouldn't just talk nonsense, he must have some basis. Today, a young man, who looked to be under the age of 18, broke into Beehive Island alone and killed 3 captain-level pirates with the power of Logia Mera Mera fruit. Young people under the age of 18. Yes, that's not all. Later, we showed the strength of observation Haki and the great swordsman. Being so young, someone with Logia ability can still understand, after all, there is a certain amount of luck involved. But observation Haki and the great swordsman's cultivation are the top powers in the sea. Is this possible for a young man? Hearing this, the 4 of them were a little shocked, and they were speechless for a while. Go on and finish. Kong took a deep breath. Yes, and then he and Akoku crushed Akoku without even using the fruit's ability. In the end, Rocks gave him the position of cadre by default. By the end, he was getting more and more excited, and the undercover agent could hardly contain himself. How is that possible? Crush Akoku. Hearing this, Kong was shocked and his previous calmness disappeared. Even Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr were in shock and looked at each other. The cadres of Rock's pirate all have strong strength, such as Golden Lion Shiki and Whitebeard Edward Newgate, who are not weaker than Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr. Akoku is not a very strong cadre among the Rock's pirate cadres, but he is still a genuine cadre, at best slightly inferior to them. If this young man can crush Akoku, doesn't that mean he already has cadre-level strength? Kong suppressed his disbelief and asked, what's the new guy's name? His name is Yulo. Someone is looking for me, so I won't tell you. The undercover agent hung up the phone in a hurry as soon as he said his name. Kong didn't react at all to this. The 4 of them were silent, but the information from the undercover kept echoing in their hearts. After a long while, Garp spoke carelessly, picking his nostrils as he spoke. Why do some new monsters always join Rock's pirate? Why don't they join our marine? Come on, I finally opened my mouth, but it was still nonsense. It's really me, Garp. Ahem. Sengoku glared at Garp, but Garp didn't take it seriously and tilted his head to pretend not to notice. Zephyr, who always remained serious, also showed a helpless expression. During this time, Kong was still very majestic. The 3 of them looked at him and breathed a sigh of relief. Recently, many new people have been added to Rock's pirate, especially Kaido and Yulo. I don't think we can continue to let it go. Sengoku walked out of the shock and analyzed the current situation solemnly. Sengoku is right. If we wait for those newcomers to grow up and the Rock's pirate strength will increase greatly, it will not be so easy for us to deal with them again. Zephyr quite agrees with Sengoku's view. They are not afraid of the current Rock's pirate, but are afraid of the Rock's pirate of those newcomers who have grown up. All 3 looked at Kong. This Yulo is on the danger list. Recently, I have shifted my focus to New World and always pay attention to the trends of Rock's pirate. Kong nodded with an ugly expression, agreeing with Sengoku and Zephyr's ideas. Rock's pirate is getting more and more difficult to deal with. Why are all the monsters gathered there? Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr couldn't help but feel a little worried. Yulo came to the pirate ship and waited for a while before Shiki came from a distance. Shiki looked depressed. Before Yulo could agree to his invitation, he was pestered by his aunt for a long time. After getting rid of his aunt, he rushed to the banquet and found that Yulo had already left. As soon as he approached the hull, he saw Yulo waiting here. He suddenly became enlightened and then gritted his teeth. This Yulo boy actually dares to use me, Shiki, as a shield. I have to regain my face. Yulo boy, do you still have the nerve? Shiki strode up to Yulo and asked aggressively. Yulo touched his nose and smiled coquettishly. From afar, he saw Shiki's angry look, presumably because he diverted Auntie's attention to Shiki. Hey, Shiki, are you still talking about me? If you see Auntie coming over, please remind me. 1 second you were inviting me to live on your boat, and the next second you just pretended not to know me. Quote. But it's not Yulo's fault. If you are unkind, don't blame me. Ask Shiki immediately. Shiki was stunned. Why was it different from what he thought? Shouldn't Yulo give him a good lick? Ah, forget it, we're even. But after listening to Yulo's words, Shiki's aura suddenly became deflated like a deflated rubber ball. He thought that it was indeed the case, and it seemed that Yulo even glared at him in Newgate. Speaking of which, you've been gone for so long, shouldn't you? Immediately afterwards, Yulo took a step forward and stared directly at Shiki, with a meaningful smile on his face, as if he didn't know anything. Do you think this is possible, Yulo boy? Shiki understood immediately. His face turned as black as the bottom of a pot, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Ha ha ha ha, just kidding, let him pass this matter." Golden Lion Shiki's reaction made Yulo couldn't help but laugh. This is the end of the matter. If it goes too far, it will be bad. You are waiting for me here. Did you accept my invitation? The topic returned to the right track. Golden Lion Shiki regained his composure instantly and stared at Yulo with bright eyes. Yulo nodded and replied casually, "Well, I don't plan to build a fleet for the time being, so I will come to your place to stay for a while first. As you said, we can communicate and learn from each other in swordsmanship." Quote. In fact, for Yulo, improving his strength is still the key. In addition to system rewards, he must also learn to make progress on his own. He had just arrived, and he had no acquaintances, let alone anyone with whom he interacted and discussed on a daily basis. At this time, Golden Lion Shiki took the initiative to invite him, which also saved him from deliberately blending in with some people. He agreed to Golden Lion Shiki, and the two of them became good friends and also achieved the same goal, own purpose. Jia ha 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 ha, Yulo boy, under the guidance of me, the most powerful swordsman, your strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. As expected, Shiki smiled so much that his golden hair trembled, patted Yulo on the shoulder and said confidently, "The most powerful swordsman, Shiki, who gave you the courage?" The corner of Yulo's mouth twitched slightly. He clearly remembered that it was a discussion, but when it came to Shiki's mouth, it turned into guidance. In terms of pure swordsmanship, Shiki is just about the same as him. He doesn't need so-called guidance at all. He just needs to keep fighting against each other and gain practical experience. Okay, Shiki, it's already very late, take me on board to rest. Yulo said angrily. He was too lazy to pay attention to Shiki anymore. This guy is so shameless, he is the kind who shines brightly when given a little sunshine. After Yulo followed Shiki onto the boat slowly floated up and finally stayed high in the air. On an uninhabited island, two pirate ships were suspended in the sky, one was Golden Lion Shiki's and the other was Whitebeard Newgate's. At this moment, Newgate and others were staring down intently. Dang dang dang. Yulo and Shiki fought fiercely, each holding a famous sword, but did not use the devil fruit ability. The battle between the two caused waves. The entire island was filled with sword energy storms. The trees and leaves were constantly cut open by the sword energy flowing in the air, and the air was even more turbulent. This is a battle between two great swordsmen. There is so much power in every move. The battle lasted for an hour, and the two men frequently struck with their swords. Their various cuts were dazzling, and the entire ground was already pitted and crisscrossed with ravines. At this time, the two stopped at the same time and found a place to rest. Yulo leaned against a tree, replenished some water, looked at the dilapidated island, and showed a smile. In the past half-month, Rock's pirate has not had any tasks. Yulo will compete with Golden Lion Shiki every day in order to improve his combat experience and practice his control of swordsmanship. His progress is also very obvious, and he is supported by a swordsmanship that is not weaker than Shiki. In the first few days, he was always at a disadvantage during the fight. Golden Lion Shiki, who is also a cadre, is indeed slightly stronger than Akoku. As time goes by, Yulo's experience continues to accumulate. As seen just now, he is now tied with Shiki using only sword skills, and no one can do anything to the other. As for the Qinglian Earth Core Fire, Yulo also insists on practicing every night, and the progress is also significant. Compared with half a month ago, Yulo can control the flame more accurately, and has also unlocked several powerful skills. The only thing that makes Yulo unhappy is that during this period, the daily check-in did not reward any good things, and even the task check-in was not triggered. Yulo boy, how long are you going to play? You've made rapid progress in the past half-month. Golden Lion Shiki asked. To be honest, Shiki is still very surprised at Yulo's progress. Every cadre has accumulated the strength and experience he has today through countless fights. On the other hand, Yulo's strength and experience accumulated in just half a month have surpassed most cadres. Shiki, I am stronger than before. Our swordsmanship is now about the same, so there is little use in continuing to spar. Yulo pondered in his mind. During this time, his swordsmanship experience was no weaker than Shiki's. Jia ha 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 ha, Yulo boy, your strength is still far behind mine. Golden Lion Shiki was as swollen as ever, boasting shamelessly. Humph, Shiki, you are getting more and more shameless. A sudden voice sounded, and Whitebeard Newgate jumped from the boat and landed steadily in front of Yulo and Shiki. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.